So I had some clownfish eggs hatch. This video was a huge learning experience for me. Let's go. What's up, coral people? If you're new here, my name is Remy, and this is the Bahama Llama Coral YouTube channel. This is part 4 of my clownfish breeding series, and if you want to follow along, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you know whenever I post new videos. I do want to preface this with, this is not a tutorial, this is just my journey. I hope to have a distillation of all of the different steps sometime in the future, but this is more of my journey of clownfish breeding and not so much like a how-to. However, if you are trying to breed your clownfish, if you are trying to help your clownfish spawn right now, you will definitely pick up some different things in this video, and hopefully it will help you in your journey as well. Comment below. Have you ever raised baby clownfish? If not, are you interested in raising baby clownfish at some point in your reefing journey? Okay, let's start from the start. Earlier this year, I was doing some maintenance in the tank and I noticed that there was something funny on one of the frag plugs, so I removed the frag plug. The clownfish started going crazy. I thought it was a sponge or some sort of weird egg sac or something, but it ended up being clownfish eggs. So like most people who have clownfish spawn, I wanted to do some research on how I could keep those fry alive once they hatched. So the research began. The most typical food used for clownfish rearing is live rotifers. So I got all the supplies from Reef Nutrition that I needed. That's in a separate video if you want to reference that. And I started culturing rotifers. And I think I might have been a little bit too early on this process because it was about a month before I actually needed to use any of them. After that, I placed a clay pot in my frag tank and the clownfish immediately hosted it, and then I waited and waited and waited some more. In the meantime, a hobbyist and breeder of fish reached out to me. Her name is Kathy Leahy, and she is an experienced breeder. In fact, she is the first one to raise the coral beauty angelfish from an egg. She has a great talk that she did at MACNA. It's on YouTube. I will link it below so you can check that out. It is fascinating, and if you're on a budget, it will help you even more. Kathy reached out to me. She said, I've got a pair of regular Ocellaris clownfish that have still been spawning even though I'm done with breeding clownfish. So if they spawn again on a tile and they keep the eggs, I'll bring them over to you and you can try and hatch those. So she did, and I thank her for that. And she stopped over and helped me set up my hatch tank and make sure we had all the correct parameters, the right temperature, the right salinity. We secured the tile so it wouldn't move around, and then we placed a 4-inch air stone just below the tile that constantly keeps the eggs in motion. So what the air stone does is the air bubbles move past the eggs and kind of with the current help them wave. Now the air bubbles don't actually have to physically be contacting those eggs. I've seen some videos where that happens. You just want to make sure that they're waving to keep them clean. Kathy also helped me figure out how many rotifers I would need for the hatch. I'll tell you this right now, I need a microscope, and if you're gonna do this, you can get a cheaper, $80 to $100 microscope on Amazon that will help you count the rotifers a lot easier because we struggled a little bit with this. So we took a drop of water and counted how many rotifers were in that. I think it was like 3 to 5, and then we extrapolated that out several times to make sure that we knew how much was in each liter, give or take. So we estimated that there's about 50,000 rotifers in each liter of water, so I'd need about 4 liters to get that 200,000 rotifers right off the bat. So the timing of all of this couldn't have been worse because the night of the frag swap setup, so in the last video, this was happening in the background, the clownfish eggs were hatching. So I just got back from the frag swap prep and I went over to the hatch tank and took a peek, and we've got a successful hatch. There are baby clownfish all over the tank, so I'm gonna attempt to show you. It's a little hard because it's dark, so I'm gonna shine the flashlight in there, not on the eggs, but in a corner just to see if they'll come over to the light real quick. And then we're gonna go ahead and green up the water. We're gonna tint the water, and we're gonna add our rotifers tonight so that they've got something to start eating here
when they're ready.
And the next morning I woke up and there were a ton of fry. There were babies everywhere. And I knew this was happening, so when I got back from the frag swap setup that night, I kind of shined a little flashlight in there to see if there was anything going on. There was a bunch of activity, so I tinted the water with the Rotigrow Omega, and I also supplemented all the rotifers so that they had some food to eat. And the next morning I woke up and they were all still there. I guess there were probably 75 to 100 baby clownfish in the hatch, which was amazing. I've never seen so many little tiny fish all at once, and it was pretty awesome to see. I thought I was doing everything okay, and I went to bed that night, so this is night 2, and the next morning almost all of the fry were gone. They had died overnight, which is tragic and actually pretty frustrating, because seeing all of the fry to start and then seeing what happened the next day, it was pretty frustrating, pretty disheartening. And as a hobbyist, you want to just throw it all away and you just want to start from scratch and start over again. But there were a couple that hung on. As of the shooting of this video, it's day 10, and there is one clownfish left, one baby clownfish in the hatch tank. Now, I can only assume that a couple things went wrong the first night. One of them was I turned the light off. I had the light on a timer, and everything that I've read says keep the light on for the first 20 days so that the rotifers are visible to the clownfish and so that they can continue to eat. The other hypothesis that I have is that they absolutely decimated the rotifer population because there was a lot of fry in there and maybe they starved. These are two of my hypotheses. I don't know if they are true or not. It's only going to come in time and experience that I will know. So this one little guy that survived everything that I've put him through at this point is a trooper, and it's one clownfish, so I'm going to go with his name being Uno. And I think that's a good name for him. Hopefully he will make it through metamorphosis. Hopefully he will make it on to be a juvenile and then an adult, and I will have this fish for years. You can bet I will never give this fish up if he ends up living, and I'm super excited. I will do everything in my power to make sure that Uno does live. So I've moved him to the TDO prepared foods, and we've moved up and we've progressed to B1, which is just a little bit bigger than the A food that you will get in your breeder pack from Reef Nutrition. I'll still have some rotifers in the tank for the next couple days, and then I'll be able to add a sponge filter whenever the clownfish goes through metamorphosis. That'll help clean the tank just a little bit better. So while all of this is happening, my Da Vinci clownfish in the frag tank decided that they were going to lay. I set up another hatch tank. I did the same procedure. Long story short, they just never hatched. The eggs just never hatched. I noticed that some of them went white, and that's pretty much game over when it comes to clownfish eggs. And because they laid inside a clay pot, it was a little bit harder to maneuver the air stone to make sure that they were always waving. I thought that I had the clay pot turned up enough so that the bubbles would just kind of scoot past the eggs, but I don't think that that was happening, and I think that that was the main issue. Again, a hypothesis. I don't know until I get more experience under my belt. There's another process that you can do where you let the clownfish parents take care of the eggs through the entire gestation period, and then they'll hatch one night and you have a little flashlight up in the corner of your tank and you set up a trap. And I know BRS has these traps, or you can do a siphon to a different tank. That might be a more convenient way, because then you don't have to position the air stone. The male clownfish is just going to make sure that those eggs are okay the entire time. So that might be another experiment we try down the road. So after everything, my one little clownfish is hanging on, and I will do my best to keep him alive. This is not my last chance, and that's the coolest part about this whole thing. Now that my Da Vincis have been comfortable enough to spawn in the frag tank, that hopefully means that they'll do that every 2 weeks. I know that's not every situation, I know that's not every pair of clownfish, but it seems like if these guys are healthy and they're good and they're fat and happy, you know, they might do that every 2 week spawn thing that clownfish tend to do when they're good to go. I had a feeling that this might happen my first go around, but you know, we fail, we learn, and we grow. It just goes to show that whatever you try in this hobby, don't give up. There will be obstacles every time you try something new. I'm excited for what the future holds with this clownfish breeding series, and if you think I'm done because I'm down and out on this clutch of clownfish or these 2 clutches of clownfish, then you are wrong. The journey has just begun, and I'm more curious than I've ever been about breeding clownfish. Please follow along with the journey if you could. That would be awesome. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you know whenever I post new videos. Oh, for those of you who have reached out about my speaking engagement at Aquashella Orlando this year, thank you. I am so grateful. A huge thank you to a partner of this channel, Fritz Aquatics, and Sean, who reached out, and he's trusting me to do something spectacular on stage that day. Saturday, June 12th is when I'll be speaking at Aquashella Orlando. I'll leave all the information for Aquashella below in the description. But for those of you that are coming out to the event, please stop me and say hi. Let's have a picture. Let's talk. And it'll be nice to meet all of you that will be joining us in Orlando. I know Scott Crow is going to be in attendance, hoping to plan some crazy stuff with that dude coming up here in the near future. And make sure, as always, that you check out all of OSA's videos on YouTube. They are constantly uploading now. It's really fun to see. They're like little bite-sized videos too. It's like 4, 5, 6 minute videos. So go hop over there, subscribe to OSA. Now Uno and I have to go change some clownfish water. It helps only having one fish because I can scrub around him and get a deep clean in there because I always know where he's at in the tank. Just you and me, baby. Yeah, I'll be over. I'm coming over. So demanding. Hey, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one.